Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Share Your Story with Ellie. I'm your host, Ellie B. Today on the show, you'll get to hear from one of my best friends, Brooke Dovie, as she talks through a very important chapter of her story. Brooke has more than 10 years of experience in the design and furniture industry. She is continually captivated by the way textures and furniture blend together to invigorate a space, and she leans on her strategic planning skill sets to share that vision with clients. Brooke served an integral role in launching Industry West Interiors in 2022. Her unique approach to design and dynamic energy drives her to explore out-of-the-box solutions to serve the nuanced needs of each individual project. Brooke has been one of the greatest gifts in my life over the last few years. I have the benefit of spending most of my days with Brooke as coworkers, but also as friends. Brooke is the most generous person I know. She gives wholeheartedly to serve other people, but also never stops working to better herself. She teaches me to be a better friend with small gifts, sharing the burden of the hard things, and championing people as they chase what's best for them. I am truly a better person because I am so close to Brooke. A little editor's note before we get started, because I'm very much still learning, we did run into a few technical difficulties, so there's a bit of an echo, but this was my very first episode I recorded, and there's so much I tried to fix, but this is all very much a process. Also, Brooke fully came down with COVID the very next day, so the fact that she offered me so much grace in the recording process and gave so much of herself through this episode is just so emblematic of her as a person. I love her so dearly, and I know that you will too. Without further delay, here's my conversation with my bestie, Brooke. Okay, hi, Brooke.
Hi.
Welcome to Share Your Story with Ellie.
So happy to be here.
You are like one of the first that has really pushed me to actually do this. And the beauty of this, I think, is we're moving from personal pods to a public pod because I use this feature often between our text thread.
We love an audio message when it pops up.
The thing is, the amount of times that I constantly have too many words. And I think I get in a role with you where I just send so many audio messages. And my favorite is when you came to me and you were like, I played them on the way to work because I needed a silent space to process everything, to take it all in, because there's a lot of information.
And I stayed in my car for 5 minutes to continue listening until the morning story wrapped up.
And the beauty of that too is you never send a personal pod back. You are like, yes, we will get to this, or you're just succinct in your responses.
I think that, things I don't tell you, I'm not that technology forward, and, sometimes I forget even how to send an audio message. We're behind the times. So when I get one, I'm like when it says you have 2 minutes left, I'm like, "No, I need more time,"
So true.
you know?
They actually do need to update the interface on that because also the recent iPhone update was not helpful because you have to search for it. But I hate that it's like you kept an audio message, but like where do you find it? How do you replay it? It's just not easy.
I think in these times that we are living in, everything is on a timer, and we don't need that energy on a personal pod.
You could not be more accurate. Okay. My favorite thing about this is genuinely I remember me sending that the first time, and I don't even remember what it was about, but I remember you being like, "Wow, I just feel like I got my own personal podcast. That was amazing." And I was like, "Funny you should say that." And I think that was over a year ago.
Little did you know, you were like, "Imma circle back on this."
We love a circle back. We love a circle back. Okay, so we will give a bit of, the technical update. It did take us forever to figure out the microphones. We are working, we think, we hope.
We hope.
We are in the middle of, as many things this is actually so true of us, is it doesn't matter what we do, there's gonna be, like, 8 obstacles that we have to cross and make the most
Mhm.
of it. So your voice currently, you feel like is one of them?
I think that Murphy's Law, I'm that person that's like, "Oh, you're going on vacation, this is happening. You need to do something important with a friend. Here we go. Wake up on Sunday and your voice is cracking like you're going through puberty and you're 29." So, that's what's currently happening, so apologies in advance, but we have all the beverages and we're healing, and hopefully this turns out okay.
It will, because one thing about us is we are gonna make the most of it, and that was definitely true of our, recent travel experiences, and here's we don't have to go into the first one if we're really just, like, not wanting that to be, just a story that everyone knows about us because it's so out of character for part of the story.
I think we should just skip to the part that is us triumphing through the airport. I
Yeah.
definitely said that word wrong, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. No, because there was just a bit of a few factors that were working against us in boarding our plane on time
Mhm.
in order to return from New York to home in Jacksonville.
Yeah. I think that the rules can be different depending on where you are, in an airport, and we experienced a quicker boarding process. We experienced snafus in the security line. Um,
That was crazy. I forgot about that.
yeah, I feel like there was a lot
Why
working
did we go
against us.
downstairs, like, into a dungeon security area?
It was weird, and I think that JFK is a place that I don't like frequenting.
My favorite was the fact that we were literally just following the line leader of some random man in a polo who definitely didn't know what was happening, and the way you were like, excuse me, no, like, where are we going? Where are we going?" And he did not have an answer the
I
entire
feel
time.
like he was, like, an intern, which I think is, like, not a role that an airport should have for personnel.
1000%. He had major intern energy, and we are really familiar with that. Okay, but needless to say, we missed our flight, which has never happened to either one of us before,
Mm-mm.
and we were rebooked without having to have a rebooking fee. There was no extra monetary investment
Mm-mm.
in order to get home. It was just going to be quite the delay with a rainstorm. And you said, "You know, we are gonna spend the next 6 hours not just sitting at a gate."
I think that I've always wanted to be a part of a club in some
We all
sort.
just wanna be a part of something.
I feel like there's certain the airport gives you the opportunity to tap into a market that you maybe have never been able to experience before, and sitting at a gate next to, like, a very weird grab and go sandwich cart with you for 7 plus hours wasn't the vibe.
It wasn't. It was also post a very, busy work week. We
Yes.
helped host well, a huge event that was amazing, and we were kinda back to back on every single thing we were doing that week, so the exhaustion was real,
Mhm.
and we really had, like, this silent, "What are we going to do?" without asking each other, and then you do what you do best, which is say, this won't do," and solved it. And the best part was there was this giant line.
It was extreme. It's why they are changing the rules for Delta.
Yeah, 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 for the,
That line is the reason.
that one at JFK that day. So, I slide to the back of the line,
Mhm.
and as you do, you said,
See ya.
this is not gonna work for me."
Be right back.
Yeah, gonna be right back. So, Brooke walks directly up to, like, the guards essentially in front of this door and says, how do I get in today? I'm gonna need to talk to someone about this." And our queen Wendy came through.
She just said, "Come on in, honey. I got you." And I said, "Okay. I would like to get inside, whatever we need to do to make that happen." And I said, "I have my friend is with me. She's back there." Points to at the end of, like, a 50-person plus line
You're fine.
that is just building
Yeah,
as the minutes go by. And I think it was, less than 5 minutes later, you can just put in your social security number anywhere and they'll let you inside, and we got little raffle tickets, and I think a lot of people out there are, like, an airport club member.
definitely.
That doesn't even sound like the right expression, but I think that
We're new.
when you're booked and busy and you just aren't thinking about like, I never have a lot of time at the airport. I'm that
Never.
person that's like, "We have a 30-minute layover," like, I'm getting there 30 minutes before my flight is taking off. Like,
In a sprint.
I don't need amenities there, you know what I mean? But
100%.
this particular opportunity, I think also when I'm with you or just someone that, like, I care so much about, I'm like, "How do we just turn this into a positive situation?" And without breaking the bank, without doing, anything too crazy,
Yeah,
but
your husband Tyler would probably disagree with the breaking the bank, not doing anything too crazy, but but between the 2 of us, it was fine. But, no, I think that's
yeah.
actually one of your best qualities is I I think one of the things that's underneath you at all times is, like, how do I take care of the other people around me? And I don't think that's something that you consciously are, like, projecting to people, but it's just how you operate. So even in that, I was like, "Okay, not only was this, like, w we know we're gonna be here for a few more hours and we just wanna get home." You're like, "No, no, no, let's do the best of the best." And I think that both of us are of the same opinion of, like, we might as well make the most of what's here and celebrate it and do it big. So we were like, "How many times do we get up to see if they've changed the food stations?
Mhm.
Should should we get a Diet Coke and then a glass of champagne, maybe a cookie? Is there a new charcuterie act?" Like, we did the most, but you do that well for other people, just period.
I think I am always and not even think, I feel like I just am was wired at a young age to be just really, like, aware of my surroundings and, like, other people's feelings and emotions, and, like, I feel like I'm very in tune with that stuff with myself, but in a situation that gets really, like, tense or stressful, like, I just read through the other person of, like, what are they feeling, and,
Yeah.
like, it helps me in a situation to, like, make to help someone else
Yeah, like,
go
you feel better knowing
yeah,
other people feel better.
yeah,
I'm
like,
100% that.
bringing someone from, like, a 9 on the anxiety scale to, like, a 2, like, then I'm at a 2,
Yeah.
you know? So,
100%, 100%. Well,
yeah,
you did that also for me the next week because spoiler alert, we did make it home.
we did.
It was late. We rolled in with, makeup that had been from what, like, at least 22 hours before that,
Yeah,
something of that. No,
it
not that long.
it
Like,
was a new day, it was
yeah, it was a new
Saturday.
new dawn, a new day. But the very next week, I was back in New York and coming back in insane weather and, being
I feel
like,
like for the people listening, this was when New York flooded.
yeah, it was actually underwater.
It
Like,
was like
a
subway.
hurricane didn't come through, but did. And I I think especially being there by myself and trying to get home, trying to take care of Annie,
Mhm.
um, I knew to turn to you as like, "Hey, help." And I think that actually is one of the things that being single can sometimes do is you feel guilty asking people, but you also learn the people that are like and I have a lot of people like that, and I'm really, really grateful for it. But I think, the gift of your friendship is you are 100% like, "I'm not worried about asking you, and I know you're gonna help me figure something out." And when I tell you, this situation was literally The Devil Wears Prada, Miranda Priestley, Andy. Like,
It's just a drizzle.
I literally was like, "I don't know, it's just drizzling." And Brooke literally booked me how many? Like, 3 different
I
flights?
I think it was 3, the 3rd one stuck the landing.
The landing, finally. But literally, like, a journey, planes, trains, automobiles, like, all of the above. We spanned states, we spanned cities, we spanned airports. It was the actual worst travel experience.
It was I think when you get to a point when, like, you're following someone's Uber ride on your phone while you're also working, but you're also following their future flights, and then you get your other team members involved to be like, check the flights at the airport to make sure they're
That
not
was so
starting to
invasive.
cancel. Like, I mean, you know me, I love yes, I helped you and because I love you so much dearly and cared about you getting home on time. I also love a logistical nightmare.
You're so good at it, and
There's
that is the other element, like, we are working with 2 really strong factors here. But then it was on top of it, I get home, and you had taken care of Annie, the dog, and had, soup. We did which we discussed the soup beforehand, which you were very kind to do, but
'Cause
there was
that's not, like, my go-to snack for someone. I feel like that's important to note.
I
You
did request
talked
it.
about
I did
soup.
request it. That is
I'm
really
like,
important.
"Give me pasta and
Yeah. No,
noodles."
you're so right, you're so right. But you had, soup, a baguette, charcuterie in the fridge, a bottle of wine, fresh flowers, and my favorite thing was the turn down service in my actual bedroom because the lights were on, the sheets were folded down, there were PJs, like, put stacked.
I did feel a little intrusive doing that, but also I feel like we've just crossed so many lines in friendship and life where I was like, "I know you have this, like, certain bottle from your mom that has this, like, scent in it, and you, like, will sprinkle it on your sheets." And, like, I just, like, know weird details about you where I was like, "I'm just gonna do this, but, like, it feels weird." And, like, is she gonna be like, "Why were you, like, touching my sheets and, like, putting my pajamas, like, on my bed?" But then I was like, as, like just a good friend and something to come home to. I feel like those are creature comforts that you're like, "Wow," like, it does make a it makes you wanna not, like, fall into bed and cry. It makes you wanna get into bed and just be like, "Okay,
Yes,
everything's, like, okay." So it's, like,
100%.
figuring out that line, but no, I definitely didn't know if that was crossing the line
No,
with our
no.
friendship.
I mean, yeah, it's the exactly what you said. It's the beauty of knowing each other well enough at that point that I walked and I'm like, "Of course," like, no detail was spared whatsoever, and you're right. It was the complete difference between coming home and being like, "What just happened?" and I just wanna cry myself to sleep,
Yeah.
and I got up to do, Kelsey's, like, works 5K the next morning, and so
Mhm.
also having the wait, was that trip?
Yeah, you literally ran, like, a 5K the next morning.
Let's be honest, I walked. But was it that morning? I feel like it was.
Yes.
Or was it
Yes.
the previous week? I don't know, regardless. Details don't matter, schedule doesn't
Oh,
matter, but you know what? The turn down service, it felt like, "Oh my gosh, I'm, like, welcomed home," even, like, coming home to an empty house because Kelsey was at a bachelorette weekend, but,
yeah.
oh, yeah, that's what it was. Besides the point, the details don't matter. But
Mm.
it was just like, that is just who you are. You go, like, 127%, and you look at the details and think through, like, "How is someone gonna feel about this?"
Mhm.
Okay, so as you mentioned, we are this close at this point, but we met as coworkers, which we're still coworkers,
Yes, we were still coworkers.
but the fact that this relationship started as, like, "Hi, we were both hired at the same business."
I know. Looking back, like, I feel like I blacked out during, like, when you started, and I just remember, like, your energy, your bubbliness, like, your motivation, and I think it's hard to find, like, another, like, young person, like, in kind of career mode that's so excited about, like, an opportunity because like, that's how I am at work, especially when I started,
Yeah.
and but, like, looking back, like, I don't know when we went from, like, coworkers to, like, "Hey, do you wanna go get wine after work and, like,
Yeah.
talk about life?"
No, exactly. I feel like so I remember weirdly enough that I think you did one of my interviews and someone was like, "Brooke's gonna be like your go-to person." And I think
I
whoever
remember calling you.
yes, and I think I remember someone being like, "You 2 she's really gonna be your training buddy." And I think I remember being like, "Okay, good person to latch on to," but then I'm like, "Too bad she doesn't know we're gonna be like actual friends." Because you just get a sense of these things. But I feel like there was a good amount of time where, like you said, it was just like, oh, we do things together and we work on a lot of the same stuff, like
Mhm.
influencer program or like big events, like all these different things that our jobs overlapped. But then it was realizing, oh, like our personalities and kind of who we hope to be as friends, as people overlap.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I started to kind of see, like, the way that you are in your, like, out kind of, like let me rephrase, my words are all jumbled, but, like, when you just start to get a sense of someone's character from, like, work situations, but you
Yeah.
can see that in, like, a bigger picture, and you really care about people in a way that is such a full circle, and it's rare to find, it really is, to find people that just
Mm,
genuinely, like they would drop everything to help someone,
yeah.
and when you're talking to them, like, they are really listening, like, they're not on their phone, they're not, like, thinking about 20 other things, like,
Yeah.
they're in the moment with you, they're really listening, and I feel like you kind of started opening my eyes to, like, what just, like, a very, like, honest, true, like, dedicated friend can be,
Mm,
and it's such a 50-50 thing in, I feel like, our relationship now, or, like,
yeah,
if I'm at 20, you're at 80, and, like, being
for
able
sure.
to, like, toggle that flip and just be there, and I don't know,
No,
it's
I well, number 1, thank you for saying that, but I think
don't let that go to your head.
you never know. I think that was part of what I noticed too, because when I came on, I learned a lot about your actual history with the company and starting from support and customer service and all of that to then I think at the time it was right before your senior project director title switched, but I just knew how much responsibility and respect that you had from everyone. But I think some people can see that as like almost, like career chasing or unapproachable or like she doesn't know how to relate to do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it almost creates this separation, but what I saw so much in you is this like yes, I may be sitting at the table for important conversations on things, but I want to serve and help and be just as involved in every single detail because you're the person who's like, what collab are we doing next? But also, these new employees are coming and like, what's some swag we can offer them to make them feel welcomed and a part of this? And it was like kind of seeing that in action as you were training me and showing me like, this is why I love the company so much. This is the history behind it. This is everything I've done, but how can I help you? And
Mhm.
I think that's really rare. I think a lot of people get to maybe like a level they want to at work or even just like a certain title outside of whatever it is they do, but then that separates themselves from other people. And instead, I think you're like, how does this keep me even more involved? Because I know so much.
Yeah, that was you said that very well. I think it's like I was new to training people, like, when you started and also, like, where I'm a little bit older than you, but, like, a couple
I was
months.
gonna say, like, let's be
Months.
honest here. I mean, I'll hold you to that when
But I
30 comes.
also I feel like that can be intimidating, right? Like, when someone's coming on board and you can sense, like, this, like, female strong energy and, like, that they're so excited, like, I just took that as, like, great, like, if this person's amazing and can help grow whatever we're trying to do and, like, help with initiatives, like, I would be so dumb not to cling on to that and be like, "How do we get, like, more team to help create, like, magic?"
Yeah. How do you balance though, like because I would say you've captured that really well, not getting not necessarily content, but just not completely satisfied with where you are. Always looking for the next thing or how do I achieve more while also supporting and seeing people? Because I think you do both. So how do you manage that?
We're still working on it.
Everything's a work in progress.
I think I just like, I grew up with really, like, career-driven parents that were
Mm,
entrepreneurs and had their own businesses, they owned franchises, like, they were self-employed, and I grew up, like, in a household that was very, like, strong-willed and, like, you have to, like, work hard and it
hustle.
will pay off if you have to hustle and, like, if
Yeah.
you hustle, it will pay off.
Mm,
And I think just my whole family is like that, so it's kind of ingrained in me, but at the
yeah.
same time, like, it's easy if you just wanna be complacent and be like, "I'm just here for a paycheck. I'm just kinda chilling and floating along and doing what, like" it seems like a lot of other people just in the workforce do, and they kind of
Yeah.
turn that off at 5 PM and have, like, their own thing. I think I'm in an industry that, like, I love, like, no matter where I'm at, I always wanna be in the design furniture industry, like,
Mm,
it's a part of, I think, just my, like, identity,
mm.
and what, like, really, like,
You're really
motiv
good at it, so it helps
I love
that you're
it,
passionate
yeah,
about it.
and I think that, like, I have so many opportunities right now, we're just creating opportunities, creating initiatives, and that I can't shut that part of my brain off as much as, like, I wish I could sometimes.
Yeah.
It just there is no off toggle, so I think I've, over the last few years, kind of, I don't know, maybe when I turned 26, like, started figuring out how to turn those, like, never-ending thoughts and feelings into, like, real actions and real
Yeah,
initiatives, and, like, it has created jobs at the company we're at, it's created just events and opportunities, and it I think it's cool when something that's in your head goes to paper, and
yeah,
then it creates work for other people and creates like, success for the overall arching
definitely.
brand.
Yeah.
That and so, like, that feeling I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly,
No.
but I feel like that is kind of like an addictive feeling
Mm.
to get hooked on, and, like, you just wanna like, keep doing it.
Well, and it kind of marries the 2 of what you first said, which is, like, you feel better when other people feel better to some degree, like, you're excited
Yeah,
by their success or what it is that if they are starting to feel less anxiety or more success, you're going to feel an element of that too, and I think that coupled with the fact that you just have an internal drive that doesn't stop. I think
mhm,
but I think sometimes it can be easy to pick one lane, like pick drive and say, I'm gonna be the one that wins, see y'all at the top, maybe, but you're probably gonna not gonna make it there.
yes.
Or like, how do I help everybody? How do I stay consistent? And I think recognizing those 2 qualities of yourself and like how do they complement each other is something really, really cool that you do well.
Okay, well, you're gonna make me emotional, but thank you.
Okay, so I mean, that is not, uncommon for us to go through all the realm of things. Okay, so a part of your story definitely is, how we became friends, which honestly, we also have to shout out Tyler in the midst of this, your husband, which it's so funny because now that we've become friends, there are so many random interconnected things
Yes.
that we have, and sometimes via Tyler
Yeah.
because we grew up around the same area and
Yes.
people.
I think that it was connecting all of those dots of, like, really how small a city can be at the end of
Yeah.
the day. Like, you hear people say it and it's so cliche of, like, such a small bubble, but then when you really start, like, dialing in, you're like, "This is really" it either works to your advantage like it did for us, or it's, like, awkward.
Yeah. You're like, "How do I avoid you at all costs?"
You're like, "Shoot, we know too many of the same people," but,
Yeah.
like, I think our like, I feel like when we first hung out as, like, you just, like, all of us, it was just so easy and, like,
Yeah.
free flowing conversation, and you're like, "Okay, I know this person, and I grew up here, and I know this," and it takes a friendship, I think, from, like, just casual to, like, just being more intimate
Yeah.
so quickly because there is this comfortability level of, like, the same names and family, friends, and, like, locations, and it's very rare to
Yeah.
find that.
I think it is, and I think so much of our friendship transitioned over just, like, dinner and wine and, like, let's hang and talk, and, of course,
Yeah.
some of it is just, like, let's break down what we're working through at work or, like, let's talk about, like, "Yeah, we were on that meeting today with whoever, and, like, what did you think about that?" Whatever, but then it develops into actual personal stuff, and I would
Mhm.
say some of that, like, just developing that more of that friendship that was over, like, dinners and hanging out and whatever. I remember the dinner where you were like well, also
Getting
quick
nervous.
no, quick side note is, Brooke is really passionate about her, hot tub at her house. It's an inflatable hot tub, and I remember, like, coming over for dinner at your house and you being like, Tyler, Ellie and I are gonna go to Tara, like, you stay inside, like, I'm gonna go outside with Ellie." And I was like, "Oh, something's happening." And, Tara being the hot tub because
We have to name everything.
it's like a terracotta color. So we go outside and you're like, "I wanna talk to you about something." And this is where I think a part of your story is so cool and
Yes.
really
This
respectful.
was December of 2022.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we had become at that point, we had transitioned definitely from more just, like, strictly coworkers to, like, just life friends. And we were in the inflatable hot tub, Tara, in the backyard, and you were
Mhm.
like, "Okay, I need to talk to you about something," which, like, can make anyone feel scared, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, what's going on? What's going on?"
I feel like I don't do that often too, like, get very serious about,
Exactly.
like, you know, sending your husband away and being like, "Hey, girl, I need to talk to you about something."
Yes. So I was a little bit like, Okay, what's gonna happen now?" Um, and then you started telling me about your journey with school,
Mhm.
which was not something you talk about that often.
I think even right now in this, like, very moment, I'm like, I just don't talk about it that often, and, like, it's so far and few between for the people that, like, know my story, and I think once again, beautiful thing of what you're doing with Share Your Story with Ellie, but, like, even right now, I'm like, I don't even know how to talk
Yeah,
about
like,
it."
freezing up. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so but let's, like, circle I mean, number 1, thank you for even sharing and talking about it because I know it's a lot
Yes.
and it's not something you've done that much, but let's just start from the beginning, like, what what's your journey with school? Or, like or we can even start from that night, like, we're sitting in the hot tub and you were like, um, "So I don't tell anyone this, and I haven't told most people this, but I am currently still in school."
Yeah, I think we'd gotten to a point where I knew that you are, like, a very important person in my life, and I it's such a big thing that I was dealing with and have dealt with for a decade and was coming close to, like, a wrap up, and when I think it just shows, like, when you're really comfortable and, like, love someone, you're like, "I wanna share this really big, important thing that I'm doing, like, on
Yeah.
the side," and, like, when I can't hang out on, like, a Saturday or a Sunday, like, this is actually what I was doing and getting to just kind of be like, "This is why I was really tired on this day," or "This is"
Yeah.
whatever, and it got to, like, a point that I wanted to be able to just share it with you and start celebrating because 'cause you're really good about celebrating people
Mhm.
and, like, celebrating momentous things in
Yeah.
someone's life, and I am really bad at that, I think, when it comes to, like, things that are actually, like, really important.
Mhm.
So, long story short, and it is a long story, but I say that all the time, but I'll do a good job of actually making it a short
No,
story.
but that's the beauty of this is you don't have to.
Yeah. I think so everybody, you graduate, most people graduate high school, and you have your next 4 years kind of planned out of you're
Mhm.
gonna move into your dorm, you're gonna go to this specific school, whether it's close or far, and you know what the next 4 years of your life look like, coming home on weekends and holidays and building your life.
Right.
I did not have that.
Yeah.
I graduated high school and my parents were getting a divorce,
Mm.
which I had known about for quite a while, but they finally kinda had decided that all the kids were at an age, and it was just best for everybody to, like, physically make that split.
Yeah.
My older sister was at school at the time, and she was still living at home, but kind of planning to move into an apartment. And my younger sister was still in high school. I think she was like a sophomore, when I graduated high school. And instead of kind of going and doing that whole transition, and I had made plans to do that transition and kind of explore going to like the local university and taking out student debt to go do the whole dorm living thing. That
Right.
was really, it felt really important at the time, I think, to most people when you're 18 graduating, you're like, I'm done living at home. I'm going to, like, learn how to be independent
Yeah,
and
it feels like the track that everyone's going on, and so
yeah,
you're like, "This is what I'm supposed to do."
and I just didn't really have the savings, didn't really have the I think just, like, mental, like, bandwidth to go and do
Mm.
that, and,
Yeah.
um I think I just started working full time, so that's when I got into, like, the industry and got a job at West Elm and was taking classes at, like, a local community college, and then I switched to the local university, after, like, the 1st semester and was taking a full load of courses
While
parent
working.
while working, and my parents were, like, going through, like, a physical separation, so, like, moving our, like, family house, like, they got rid of the family house, each went and lived separately, and I stayed with my mom. My younger sister was with us. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was really, really hard at the time because my best friends were all not in Jacksonville, so, like,
Yeah.
everybody went away. They went to North Carolina, they went to Georgia, they went to, like, FSU.
A lot
So
of change all at once in,
yes.
like, the things that are core to you.
Yeah, so, like, I think at the time, no one was working full time.
Yeah.
Nobody was taking, just kind of, like, halfway classes and trying to still figure it out. I was watching them all, like, kind of start their life, if you will,
Mm.
and that was really, really hard, I think. Something still to this day, like, I haven't processed probably all the way of kind of that year. 2013 was, like, such a blur.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it was really important to just be there for my family, my younger sister who is going through an even bigger transition. We went from like a pretty substantially large house to they downsized and there was a lot of
Yeah.
changes, and so many people have been through this. So I think that this will probably there's people that relate to this of,
Yeah.
you're like of all the timings, but I think it might have hit me the hardest because, like, that was the year that I was, like, finishing high school and
Right.
supposed to be starting a 4-year
You were
journey.
going through personal transition technically in life stage while your entire family was also going through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're still a close family, so it was important to just be there, and I was like, everything I don't know, I think I started kind of accepting, like, you aren't doing the traditional thing, and that's
Mhm.
okay, and, like,
Yeah.
that I you know, I just started accepting that was the journey, and, I worked a lot, took classes here and there, didn't do so hot for a while in
I
courses.
mean, to balance all of that though would be so hard.
It was hard, and, like, there was some people that I graduated high school with that were taking classes at, like, the local, university, so we were
Mhm.
getting to kind of go through a very non-traditional journey, but, like, those people still were, like, going back to their dorm at the end of the day, and, like, I was getting in the parking garage and, like, driving home to,
Right.
like, live with my mom and my younger sister, and, um, it was really, really hard, but I think it challenged me to be like, "What do I actually wanna do?"
Yeah.
Because I think so many people just got to, like, move out, go to school, like, hop into sorority life, like, I didn't
Yes.
do any there was a lot of things that just, like, were not an option, but while also, like, I was very trying to be financially dependent, like,
Yeah.
even though I was still, like, living at home, like, I always wanted to, be able to just start, like, a savings account
Yeah.
and be working and, like, know what it feels like to get
Oh
a
gosh.
paycheck.
This is a subject truly all the time that I think about because I think at 18, going to school and immediately being asked the question, "What do you wanna do for the rest of your life?" is
Mhm.
so overwhelming, and you're not in a place where you can truly understand the impact of the decisions you're making. And granted, things change, careers change all the time, but there is a level of we're still kids at that
Yeah.
point, and you also are making decisions not based on lifestyle either. You know, like no one's looking at you and saying, what do you want your day-to-day schedule to be like? What do you hope that your pay range will be like? What kind of
Mhm.
lifestyle do you wanna live? And those are not informing the decisions you're making about what you wanna study. It's just like, "Oh, like, I always thought rocks were cool," which, like,
Yeah.
never me, but, um, but there's a lot of decision there, and then you miss out on so many things like, what is a mortgage? How does one apply for a loan? Like, what
Yeah.
are all these things that are
Yeah.
technically integral to every single day life as an adult?
Yeah, and, like, I can't remember if, like, I just made this up in my head or if it's something that my mom told me, but I feel like she was like, "You should just get, like, a business degree. Just, like, get something, just, like, go for,
Yeah,
like, a kind of, like, a like, basic degree that
that
kind
can
of
be
just is,
applied to
like,
everything.
all-encompassing," and I was like, "That sounds great," but also, like, I just didn't really have, like I did not graduate high school with, like, the GPA that I, like, definitely probably should have. I should have put in more effort. Again, there was a lot of family stuff unwinding, and I think I made up probably a lot of excuses for, like, just
Or
not
your priorities were just in different places.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so there was some stuff that was definitely working against me, but then at the same time, I was like, I still to this day am not someone that's just gonna go do something to do it.
Right.
There has to be a purpose behind it, and that just didn't feel right, but, so again, long story short,
No.
I I stopped taking classes at the university, and I think I took off, like, a semester, and I had an experience that is way too long for this episode, but maybe
You'll be
for
back for multiple,
maybe
don't
for
worry
a
about
future
it.
one. I got to go to China with my mom on this amazing opportunity, and we got to go to some furniture factories. I spent a few months getting to go to some of, like, the top trade shows, like, in the United States and, like, Las Vegas and North Carolina and New York, for the furniture design industry, and truly did, like, a complete halt on my life and was like, "This it" you know, when, like, something just again, there's a reason that I did all of this stuff, but an opportunity presented itself, and I got to just basically hop along and, like, help on something that my mom was pursuing, and little did I know that was, like, where my heart was at.
Yeah.
So, I think I was taking a couple online class again, I've taken so many classes, so it's just, like, trying to take a class here and there online to
Yeah.
just be like again, watching all of your friends go through school and they'd come home from the holidays and be like, "What's everybody up to?" And, like, I felt really self-conscious about, like, not being in school
Mm,
during the years that, like, I was supposed to be in college. So,
yeah.
like, was always trying to at least take, like, some kind of, like, weird English course online. But so got to travel and go to all of these shows and completely was like, "I love interior design. I love furniture specifically. What is this industry?" Like,
Yeah.
people work in this industry, there's buyers for furniture, there's it just it just all of kind of like the stars aligned, and so I, like, started researching in Jacksonville just, like, opportunities for, studying interior design and found out that, like, there was a program. It was an associate in science degree for interior design and technology through one of the community colleges. Now I think it's actually a state college.
Yeah.
So started that program, and I think I started it in 2017.
Okay.
I think it was 2017. So keep in mind, like, I graduated high school in the end of 2012 and had, like, a hodgepodge of college courses, but, like, quite a bit of college courses, but, like, I was a PR major briefly,
Tracks.
which
Totally makes sense.
looking back, I'm like, "We should have stuck there. We should have stuck the landing with that one. I think it would have been really
We're
good,"
getting
but
a lot of experience in that just regardless.
so it's funny when you're like, "This is not what I wanna do," and now I'm like, "Why am I touching so much of this
Yep.
industry?"
Yep.
Like, I should have done that, but you don't know what you don't know. So started that program, I think in 2017, taking just 1 or 2 classes. I was working full time. I was super single for a while and,
Dude.
just really I put a lot of effort into it. So when I got really into Orange Theory and, like, working out, I tried to, like, fill, I think, some
Yeah.
of these, like, voids in my life through other things of, like, working out. I was working these crazy overnight shifts at West Elm doing all of those store visuals. So, like, I think
Wow.
I would come in at, like, 7 PM and leave at, like, 6 AM or something, and
You're
then
6 AM?
it was crazy. It was, like, still
Oh my
dark out.
god.
I know. It was, like, a small team, and we'd come in and, like, do all of the windows, like, all the merchandising,
Makes
like
sense now, though, why you can do an entire model unit installation in a day, work day.
I feel like it was those overnight
Yeah,
shifts.
definitely,
So that was really crazy. I was, like, learning to become a manager at West Elm, so I think I was, like, growing professionally, and I didn't
definitely.
even realize the impact that
It's not until you look back that you understand like, I'm a firm believer that God prepares us in specific ways that we are not even aware of, and then you look back and say, "Oh, I'm only here because I was prepared for that in those what felt at the time meaningless tasks or really frustrating situations, but
Mhm.
now I'm here because of that."
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. And I would, like, plan my work schedule around when I was taking classes because they were in-person classes, at the school, so I would, like, leave work, go right to school, do that, and then drive across town and go back home because I was still living with my mom.
Yeah.
So it was crazy, but at least at that point, I think that I started feeling more, like, together as a person because I was, like,
Mhm.
doing design work at work
Yeah.
and, like, getting to, like, work with corporate a little bit and, like, connecting some, like, career dots where I was like, "Okay, like, if you do X, Y, and Z, like, they will give you this, and they will give you this,"
Right.
and I started seeing,
That's
like
still part of that drive and vision that you just have
Yeah.
always been born with.
Yes, and I think that so, like, that was going on, but then I was, like, leaving there and, like, actually doing, like learning what commercial design was, like, learning what
Mm.
ADA requirements were for things and just getting to, like, learn hand drafting and, like, really getting a sense of school for, like, that kind of industry and what jobs could look like and all of that. So, then in January 2nd of 2018, I started where we're at now. Got the opportunity to join the team and left West Elm. Do we say where we work
Yeah, we
now?
could talk about
We haven't
Industry
said
West.
it.
I know, I know, I think we've just said, like, the company, the place
The
we work.
company. I was like, "Are we
Sounds
allowed to
really
say?"
intense. No, Industry West, yes.
It's on my Instagram bio.
I know, everyone's gonna find it everywhere. Yes, we work at Industry West.
So, I have a joke, I have to always work, like, with a company that has the word West in it. It's like a requirement, with West Elm, Industry
So
West.
true.
Um So, yeah, so I left, started at Industry West January 2nd of 2018, and it was kind of to get my foot in the door, and
Yeah.
I had no idea that that company was even in Jacksonville, which was really
No,
funny.
me neither. I remember seeing Industry West, the first office is not far from where I live, and I remember being like, "What is this place? What do they do? I'm so confused," and every time I walked by, I couldn't really tell,
Yeah,
and then you recognize just how much reach Industry West has, and it's headquartered here, which is crazy.
and I did a lot of research on them before I, like, interviewed, but I think it just felt, like, so important, it felt so big,
Mm.
um, especially going from, like, a retail job, like, I was
Right.
working weekends, I was working overnights and being able to go to, like, a Monday through Friday and start that, like, normal I was 23, so I was like,
Yeah.
it's again, like, keeping in mind, like, where my friends were from having graduated college then at, like, a normal time and, like, getting jobs, I feel like I still fell behind the
Mm.
curve. But this felt like a huge opportunity to be able to, like, have that Monday through Friday, like, have a full time with
Right.
benefits and all the things, like, or just a real kind of real girl job.
Yeah, big girl job.
A big girl job. So I started there and they knew I was still taking, courses through the FSCJ for the
Okay,
interior
so
design
that was something
program.
y'all talked about.
Yes, like, I remember talking about it in my
Yeah.
interview because, like, they knew I was still in school.
Okay.
Um, but it was just one of those things, like, it didn't really come up, like, it's not that no one cared, it just, like, wasn't like, education, like, wasn't a big topic of, I feel like, my interview process, it was more just, like, what are my skill sets, like, how can I
Right.
talk to customers? It was more, like, ironically, like, my retail experience at West Elm and that being an industry company,
Right.
like, that's, I think, what got me the ticket
Because you
into
were equipped in that way to talk to
Yeah,
customers. Yeah.
yeah, um, and just knew, like, what a counter height versus bar height is and just, like, random
Yeah, the stuff that
industry
I
things.
had to learn so quickly.
We still forget from time to
Yes.
time. So I was still taking courses while I was there, and then I was at Industry West for, like, 6 months and then got engaged to Tyler. Hi, Tyler, I hope you're listening to this. And we moved to West Palm Beach, and the company, like, let me go work remotely.
Right.
So keep in mind, I was still taking courses, physical courses in Jacksonville while living in West Palm Beach. And for those listening, it's like a solid 4
Yeah.
hours away.
Yeah, solid.
Um, So it was a really crazy from like middle of 2018 until I guess I finished the end of fall of 2019. It was like a year and a half
Wow.
to finish the program. So I would like time my work trips to like come back and like work at physically like in Jacksonville for a few days. And I would like I would go to work and then I would leave work. And at 6 p.m., I would go take my 6 to 8 p.m. course at FSCJ. And then at 8 p.m., I would get in my car and I would drive back to West Palm Beach, get home at like 11 p.m., 12 p.m., depending on traffic, like eat a quick dinner, say hi to Tyler, go to bed, and then log back on at 9 a.m. for work, like remotely. And I did that for months.
I truly the first time you told me that, I remember being like, because you and I are cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways with just like hustle, discipline, drive. I want to be the best and I'm going to
Mhm.
figure it out kind of thing. That amount of work and effort. And for those who don't know, your first position in Industry West was customer support, which is not an easy thing to deal with. It's dealing with customers who bought something online who very much are upset about whatever's going on with their piece of furniture.
Yeah.
And it also was decently chaotic, I would say probably when you first got on, like, y'all were
Oh, yeah.
organizing a lot more. So to have that amount of dealing with people and having to be level-headed and how do I help you all the time into in-person school, get in the car, and go to bed.
Yeah. And it was intense, like, I remember we lived in a really cool condo building in West Palm, and, like, I would pull in at, like, midnight and just, like, sit in my car for a minute and just have, like, a deep sigh and be like, "Okay, you did it."
Yeah.
You have anywhere from 2 weeks to a week to 3 weeks, depending on, like, when I needed to go back, and, like, my professor at the time, I'm still connected with her, and we talk from time to time, and, like, she was so awesome at just, like, understanding my situation, understanding I was working full time, and letting me know like a heads up like, "Hey, like we're not gonna have in-person class, this Thursday, like time your week around that." And
Wow.
I think it was really impactful having someone that just like fully understood like what I was
And
doing
was
when
looking
like
out for you. Yeah.
yeah. And like no one at work knew this. Like it was just one of those things where it was like not a don't ask, don't tell, but like when I started, it was like I was still in school, I was finishing classes, and then just, like, no one asked me, like, "Where did you go to school?" Like, "Where'd you graduate
Right.
from?"
It just
Like,
wasn't a conversation.
it just wasn't a conversation, and if those
But
conversations were happening, like, I think I just, like, exited from them, like,
yeah.
if other people started talking about their college experience, I would just, like, "I'm going to the bathroom," like, I just, like, would find a way to kind of, just remove myself so that I didn't have to answer to anything or anyone, and because I was still, like, very much in the thick of it. Um, I I didn't wanna be looked at differently that I couldn't handle a specific workload or more tasks or taking on more initiatives because I was still a quote unquote, like, student. That's good. I feel like I can
No, so, like, just keep going with, people just didn't know.
people just didn't know. I didn't wanna be looked at, like, less than that I couldn't handle because I feel like one of my strong suits, if you will, that I am comfortable admitting is, like, I really am good at multitasking. And I think it came from that era of my life, of being able to be working, be going to school, going home. I was like newly engaged to Tyler. So I was like, I had never like lived with anyone before. So like we were living together in West Palm Beach together. There was just a lot of changes, but it was all so positive. I think for the first time, I felt like I was kind of like getting to begin this era that was put on hold for a long
Yeah.
time. But I was still so far away from that like end goal of school.
Okay, so even as you talk about that end goal, so in the same time, like you said, you are accomplishing a lot of the things that you hoped for, wanted, and at the time, still doing a lot of the things that friends around you are doing, like same life stages in a lot of ways, like working and um, getting higher up in your job and getting engaged to Tyler, all those things. So why was school still important? Like what made you say, I want to keep doing this when it's this exhausting?
Yeah. Um, And I think the thing that felt even more exhausting, to be honest, was that the program that I was in was an associate in science. So it wasn't even like a full bachelor's. And
Yeah.
like it was taking so long to finish that. So when I finished that, I think it was fall of 2019. Um, I took a little bit of time, maybe a little bit more. I took a lot of time off, and I just was really just focused on like my career
Yeah.
and on work. And I think that time in my resume like does reflect the effort that like I really put in after kind of being
1000%.
on break. And I just sunk everything into like to my career and the company. But of course, the conversations, they don't ever end, of being at a happy hour or being out and someone's like, you know, go Seminoles, where'd you go to school? Or,
Yeah.
oh, I saw that sticker on your car. Or, like Tyler, my husband, he went to FSU and then he got his master's from UC Riverside. And like, he is someone that's like always been just like really on top of education and very like inspired by it. And I like now drive the car that he drove for a while. And like, again, when you're booked and busy, do you think about what like the stickers are like, or what?
No.
Like my car has like an FSU alumni thing on the license plate. Like I don't know how to change that. Like
It's just
it's
not at the top of the priority list right now.
it's just what is there. I think a lot of people would see my car, and I learned this later on, and they just like assumed that I like went to
Yeah.
FSU. But
I
if you
think
go,
I did. I'm pretty sure one time I asked you, I was like, were you in a sorority at FSU? Because I just like, that was a marker that was out there and I just assumed.
yeah,
Like before, obviously, we had talked about all this.
no, I kind of remember
Yeah.
you asking me that, and I was just like, no.
Yeah.
But it's like it's no, I was not in a sorority
Right.
at
That was the
FSU.
limited answer, which like, and my, even like my college journey was somewhat,
Yeah.
I mean, it was 4 years, but it was different in what I was
Yeah.
involved in. And I remember being like, oh yeah, I didn't join until I was a junior and whatever. But I don't think I
Yeah.
thought twice about like, oh, why wasn't she, or where did she go to, like,
Right.
like you said, the conversation comes up.
It comes up, and it kept coming up. And like after I remember getting my like little diploma from FSCJ that had my name and associate in science, and like I framed it and I was so proud of it, and like looking at it and just being like, this took like so long to just get this right. Like
Right.
we have hodgepodge of credits, but like we have like now a physical paper from a university that is like something to prove something, and it's in the industry I'm in. But like it just was not enough, and you just look at it and you're like, this just isn't enough. And I think that like I was the only person at the end of the day really thinking about it and like caring about it. Like there was no one in my life, including Tyler, being like, you should finish your degree. Like
Right.
you're going to regret this one day. Like
Yeah.
there was none of that. It was just like, I'm so proud of you for like doing what you did and getting to the point that you did. Like I'm here to support. I think I had a really good support system of just like, whatever you want to do, like we're here for it. If you don't want to do anything, we're here for that also. I think at the end of the day, like I did not feel satisfied. And I think like in my professional like workplace, like I was really working so hard, like at work.
Absolutely
and like
can confirm.
and like achieving things and like feeling really satisfied, and like felt like I was like making a difference and learning how to be a manager, like learning all of these things again, like still learning all of that. But I was like, I felt like I was just still like missing this piece of like the educational chapter.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to like look back one day and be like, oh shoot, like this opportunity I can't do because I didn't finish this. And I'd been working for over a decade to try to like finish school. So with that said, again, those conversations, I truly feel like you are so aware of it when like you don't have like a finished degree.
Yeah.
I also had learned people very close to me that I thought had full bachelor's degrees did not have full bachelor's degrees. It's really interesting when you actually like ask someone the brass tacks of like, where did you get your degree from and when did you get it and what is it in? You would be surprised.
Oh, they are rarely related.
But like there's definitely people I think that go through life being like, oh, I got a certain amount of credits, and like I'm kind of am just calling that like my degree.
Right.
And I could have done the same thing. I have literally had so many college credits.
Yeah.
Been like, I have enough to like
You're like
make a degree.
been through the hours.
Yes, we put in the hours and the time. And I just was like, it felt icky. I was like, I want honestly this stupid piece of paper that's framed in my office.
Yeah.
Like it was so important to just show like I can do hard things, and like my mom has her degree. My dad has his associate's degree. He like was very close to finishing his bachelor's degree, and then they started a family and he never finished it. And I think that like that's something that like he's had even brought up from time to time of like, I was so close.
Right.
And I didn't. And I was like, I do not want to be like in my 60s and looking back when I have kids and be like I feel like I would have felt like a hypocrite. I feel like I now can help anyone like whenever we have kids one day and like they go to school or not, I can at least like present this case of like this is just my journey. It would have been so much easier maybe if I did this or this, but like sometimes it just matters that you do it. It doesn't matter what age.
Wow.
And just now like I have my degree. So I guess to finish up this not short story.
This is the point of a podcast. We love it.
So December when we were in the hot tub,
yes,
when I was telling you my whole
that sounds like so romantic and funny. But a lot of conversations happen via Tara.
Literally just like unwinding, having like a spa moment on a Monday. Okay, so I talked to you about this in December of 2022. So in August of 2021, I did some research. Basically, I Googled, like, if you have this many college credits, like, how do you finish your degree?
Yep.
Like, we turn to the Google machine.
Don't we always, though?
We just can't Google anything these days. And so, like, saw this platform called Coursera, like, got on Coursera, and you basically, like, upload your transcript. So keep in mind, like, painful. I had to call, like, the University of North Florida, and is that what I just called? Yeah. UNF, swoop, and FSCJ, and like basically be like, hi, like keep in mind, like I'm now 20, how old was I? 27, 28? Like, hi, I'm almost 30. How do I get my transcripts like uploaded? Like there's so many challenges when you try to finish your education of like, who do you call to like get your transcripts? Like it's $15. Like where do I send the money?
They are always trying to confuse people. I swear. I still get emails of like, this course that you're, and I'm like, no, I graduated too long ago. We're not going to talk about it, but still, why is it so confusing? There's so much red tape to get through.
It's so confusing, and it gets more confusing as you get older because then you're just like, you get frustrated because you're like, I'm already working. I don't want to deal with this. So got like matched with the University of North Texas. Go Mean Green. I'm not school spirited, but here we are. We do have a new bumper sticker.
Yeah,
it says UNT. So got matched with UNT, and they basically were like, if for kind of like this bachelor's degree based off of like all of your credits with interior design and what you can be taking for like operations management, etc., like this is like the, you know, kind of trajectory to like finish your bachelor's degree, and this is the price tag.
Okay,
and I was like,
actually the coolest program though.
Super cool. I think there was a few other like universities.
Similar options. Yeah.
But for some reason, like I think it was like the quickest was going based off of like the scheduling of courses, like UNT was going to be the quickest, and it was all online, super flexible. And I mean, it was tricky. We just like paid out of pocket for it. We just paid out of pocket for it. And I started that in August of 2021. Right?
Yeah.
And I finished in July 28th of 2023.
Yeah, you did.
Correct? A year?
Yeah.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, because you took so many courses.
Wait,
quickly.
No, I am wrong. I started in August of 2022 because I did it in a year.
Of course you did. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay, so August of 2022.
You're right. It's your own journey. Like, of course you would know.
Me forgetting my own journey. The thing is, it's been too long. It's been a decade. No, okay, correction. August of 2022, I started taking courses. And then July of August 2023, which is just a couple months ago, I finished and got my degree. It was mailed to me. We have it framed.
It is framed. It is in the office.
It is framed. It's in the office, and we got the degree. And it was a very tricky year of taking courses. And I actually technically was not supposed to be done until December of 2023.
Yeah.
But I was like, hell no.
I'm done.
I need to be done. And we accelerated it. And I took like 3 to 4 classes like at one time. So it was really tricky. So,
and for context, our work schedule is demanding just in terms of, I mean, number one, some of it, of course, we understand is like our own disciplines of who we want to be as coworkers or as contributing to the company, whatever.
Mhm.
But as senior project director, there is a lot that's underneath your umbrella on a day-to-day basis. And often there were times where you were one of the first few in the office and working till pretty late. One of the projects being actually putting our entire office together, our whole new HQ. And anyone from the outside looking in at just your day-to-day work schedule would have felt like this is overwhelming and a lot.
I've really tried to, like, compartmentalize, I think, which I'm not good at in any other aspect of my life. But, like, work is here. Like, these are the hours. These are, like, Mondays and Tuesdays. Like, I have to do something when I get home. And the cool thing about finishing your degree when you're almost 30 is, like, you can have a glass of wine and just be chugging along reading about I had to take a course about the history of Texas in order in order to graduate from a Texas
I
university.
love that so
That
much.
was, like, a couple months ago. So I think it just was, like, learning to compartmentalize, like, kind of this is the time I have for, like, friendships and family. This is the time I have for school. This is the time that I have for, like, this is work time, like, and it's so important to, like, not let anything with work slip at all because I didn't want to then be finishing my degree and be like, "Oh, I feel behind in a certain aspect,
Yeah.
like, of work." Because I was, like, finishing something else that was important. So I feel like that was really, really important that, like, I never wanted anyone to be able to look at me and be like, "She seems distracted. She seems like she's up to something." Like, so that's why I didn't really talk about it, and getting to tell you is so exciting, I think, because I just knew that you were someone that, like, would be so judge-free and just supportive and be able to be like, "Wow, like, that's really hard." And, like, it's hard for me to I think it was hard for me to sit down and just like, I was so focused on finishing it
Mhm.
and just finishing it and being able to be like, "I have my bachelor's degree. Like, it is done. No one can take that from me."
Right. I think in life, most things, we grow up thinking, as you mentioned, you graduate high school, these 4 years, this is probably what it's going to look like. And so much of it is never linear. And
Mhm.
I think yours is the example of truly, you could have said, I'm in the industry I want. I'm in an amazing company with this title. Why does my degree matter? And instead, you wanted to put in the hours and work. And I think it is in sitting and talking to people and empathizing with the fact that, like, this didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, or this didn't turn out how I thought it would, but I'm still going to see it through and persevere. That is
Mhm.
something that I think it's a character that maybe our generation is losing a little bit because we have so much instant. Because there could have been so many times where those after those long hours or like, okay, I can't go to happy hour because I have to go home and take a bio quiz,
It always comes back to happy hour.
doesn't it though? That's a sacrifice. That's a risk. And like maybe not a
Mhm.
risk, but I mean it's a sacrifice for sure. Why
Yeah.
keep going? Like why did it matter?
I think there's, like, one word to sum it up. Because I have definitely done a lot of, like, self-thinking about this, and it came down to, like, feeling insecure.
Mm,
And I hate no one likes to feel
no.
insecure, like, it's the literal worst. And I think that education, for some reason, with me was such, like we can all have a bad hair day. We can be like, "I'm 5 pounds heavier than I want to
Right.
be, and I'm insecure." There's so many things in our life that, like, pop up that I think, like, make us feel insecure.
Mhm.
And education for me and, like, not finishing that, like, final degree that, like, society has made us feel
Right.
like we have to have in order to, like, be anything. It was such an insecurity. It was an insecurity to be, like, working with other people that had their bachelor's degree or higher. I think, like, the only time I didn't feel insecure about it was, like, when I would be talking to Tyler, like, my husband, like, who has higher education and, like, I think that there was very few people that I, like, felt just completely comfortable around, but it was, like, the minute that you're in a conversation and, like, school is brought up or, like, "Oh, were you in a sorority?
Yeah.
Where'd you graduate?" Or, Tyler, like, he loves going to going back to Tallahassee and going to FSU games, and, like, we went to one while I was still finishing the degree, and I, like, was poking fun at myself, of course, as I like to do. I
Right.
was like, "Some of us are still in college over here, like,
Yeah.
where's the tailgate?" Like, And that just felt like I can joke about it, but then at the end of the night, I'm gonna like be up with anxiety, feeling so
Mm,
insecure, so like icky that like I am at a place like in my career that finally feels really good. And
right.
like I own a house and like I love my husband and like I have this amazing dog and my family.
Sure.
It was like check, 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 all the things
Yeah.
that like I have worked my ass off for. But like I still don't have that freaking piece of paper.
Mm,
And that insecurity, honestly, is like what drove me to just pay for it, finish it, like take a year where we don't really remember a ton of stuff because
on production mode,
we were
nonstop.
on 24/7 production mode. But I don't know. I think I've thought so much about it and like I don't know where that insecurity fully stems from in like society, but because I know tons of people that like haven't finished
Right.
their degrees and like they're fine. They're just chugging along and like they don't even think about it. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't come up. And for me, it's like it would literally I would wake up at 3 a.m. with like this like
Mhm.
stifling insecurity
Yeah.
that like I hadn't finished a
Right.
degree.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think part of it is probably like your discipline and seeing things through. Like you just want to succeed, and that was an area where you're like, I want to see it to the end. So
Mhm.
why do you feel so in telling people though? Because I feel like as it was getting closer and as your degree was coming to fruition, like actually receiving the paper, you
Yeah.
started talking about it more.
I did. I feel like classic me. I told more people than I had planned to.
As we do.
You start talking about something and like I have such a personality. I feel like we both share this where
Mhm.
like when you have something that you're doing and you're almost done with it, you're like, hey, guess what?
Yes.
And like um so I did tell more people about it. Not a ton, but there was people I definitely shared it with. And I think it's funny, like the reactions I got from people it was such a mixture of like, wait, you don't have your degree?
Yeah.
So like even that in itself could feel deflating because you're like,
Mhm.
there's like some responses that you're like, that's not what I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
So there's some of that. And then there's the majority of it was more how you were, where it's just like, that's amazing. Like, I'm so proud of you. And it's everybody has their own journey and path. And like, looking back, people were like, oh, like, that's so cool. You were able to like get your finished degree in interior design and operations management and the things that are like relevant from now until I'm retired,
Right, because it's what you're passionate about and want to
It's what
stay
I'm
in.
passionate
Yeah.
about. Yeah. And like, I got the degree and the thing, but like, that's not it's not everybody's journey. But I kind of forget your question, but I feel like it was such a mixture of like some of the responses that I got from people were like kind of deflating,
Mhm.
which is life. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It's true.
And just people assuming that you had something. And I'm like, that in itself is like why I needed to finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Oh, 100%. Are there things that you feel like, because for me, with I mean, I did, like I said, I went to a 4-year school, go Gators. But like my college journey, there are things I look back on that I'm like, oh, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. Like, are there elements of that you grieve not having your traditional college experience? And do you feel like you're living them out in any way now?
I knew that this was going to be a question from you.
You sit down with me, we're gonna talk grief.
I knew it. I knew the G word was going to come into this. I think yes. And there's things that I will never be able to like. I feel like sometimes I feel like a brat for like even talking about this or thinking about it because I'm like I live a very like privileged, awesome life that like I have worked very hard for at the end of the day, but like still I have been afforded a lot of opportunities to be able to have what I have. So the things, there's classic things like I do wonder sometimes knowing kind of my personality now at 29, like what would I've learned and experienced if I had like moved out right after high school.
Yeah.
So like being able to leave for 4 years and then get an apartment and like do that classic trajectory, like I can never get that back. Like that's something that can't change. And like I do wonder. And like I'd played around with like taking out some loans and like moving in with like my friend Christy for a while, and it just like it just didn't pan out, and it didn't make sense, I guess, necessarily.
Yeah.
But so there's things like that just that traditional like leave the nest.
Yes.
kind of thing. I think my personality, like I'm just not a sorority person.
Yeah.
So like I think that is maybe a key thing for some people, but like
Wasn't in fact for you. Yeah.
It was not a factor for me. Like, I wouldn't have done that just for not any other reason than just like I can't keep up with that many people.
Yeah.
I still can't. I think that's the biggest thing that kind of just like
Mhm.
that grief of like I didn't get to do the traditional kind of like living situational thing that people
Right.
get to do. And like now knowing like I love design, like getting to like decorate a dorm room and like there's
Yeah,
things that
just those little
getting to go to like a food hall
Mm.
and like I got to like visit friends at like
Yeah.
one of my best friends, like she went to Elon University and like got to go live through some of that on some long
Yeah.
weekends and like go to FSU and like visit my friends and like I got a little
Taste
taste
of it.
and
Yeah.
then leaving on like Sunday or Monday and coming back to Jacksonville, like I would just be kind of depressed
Mm,
and full of anxiety and
right.
sadness because I was like, I'm coming back to like not I'm coming back to like working and trying to still figure out school and just I came back to such a different experience
Right.
than you get a little taste of like what people are
Yeah.
going through and I definitely wanted that and I didn't get to have that. But now I do think that there is kind of a benefit of um where I'm at in life now with like career and like my family and my house and like people like you, like everything I think leads you to where you're at currently. And
Definitely.
like I'm so happy with
Yeah.
where my life is right now. And everyone in my family is like happy and healthy. And there's just like I did finish my
Yeah.
degree.
You saw it through.
I work in the industry I love to be in and I have amazing people in my life and not in a dumb cheesy way. I feel
No.
like it's you don't even I don't think about it that now that I like finished the degree, like
Yeah.
the physical just like completion of it and it was on my birthday, which was
The
exciting. I took
best. The best.
my final course on July 28th. So that just felt very serendipitous, but honestly like literally just finishing that last test, this like kind of wave of like calmness
Yeah.
came over me and I was like I feel like I have everything that I need now.
Mm, yeah.
It's crazy the power that that can have
Right.
over you.
Yeah. Like as that chapter closes,
Yeah.
there's a certain piece about it. Like that part is done.
Yeah.
Do you have like looking back on that chapter, is there one thing, one lesson that stands out more than anything of like through this, it was non-traditional or it's not what I thought it would be, but looking on that chapter, this is what it's taught me most, or this is what I'm proud of most, maybe?
I really do think that like my time at West Elm, looking back, was so huge. Like I worked there from 2013 until 2018, December of 2018. So it was a long time, almost 4 years. Um, I think that there was like managers and teams and people and getting to see like people from corporate come in and like it's unrelated to like my school journey, ironically, but I think that from you work your whole life, right?
Yeah.
Like school is such a small part of the journey at the end of the day.
Right.
Like getting into a job and working and saving and you're working towards retirements and like all of this stuff, but like you're on the day to day of like we put so much into like work
Uh-huh.
and it's so much time of our life and the experiences that I had like at West Elm were so crucial to I think my development as a career woman.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it fully in the moment. But I think almost like as I'm getting older now and like just like seeing the way that like business works and management styles and just like people, I'm like there was just so much that impacted me so greatly there that is like kind of coming to fruition of like who I am as a person
Yeah.
now from those experiences.
I can 100% see that.
I don't know if that made
No,
sense.
1000% it does. But I think the small thing that it wasn't until I saw or learned more about your story and what you were managing and doing all at one time.
Mhm.
Even on the small scale, you teach me so much about to-do lists. Like you love a list. You are really good at checking things off quickly, and where I can marinate over something and question it, you're like, no, let's get it done. I'm confident and I have to keep moving. And I think you've taught me a lot because like I said, I think you and I are both the same in that we are busy and full and we're never going to just be content with like, we have to tell ourselves to rest and take a break. And I think what you model really well though is how to get things done with an intense amount of care. You're not just checking off a to-do list because that's what's required of you, but it's because you want to see it through. And I think that's true of like your overall education journey is like, I'm going to see this through.
I feel like your strong suits are like what you just did. Like wrapping all of those like feelings and emotions up into like a perfect bundle with like a bow on it. Because yes, like I wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said. I think that there's like not even a better way to say that. It's like I love just like knocking things out like with care and like not letting decisions like stifle me, so that like I love being able to be like, okay, I did this, 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 and this, and like it wasn't kind of halfway done. It was like confidently done, and it will lead to a bigger picture of making a difference. And I think that like the educational part of my life journey of like finishing my bachelor's degree and like getting it done in a non-traditional way, but still getting it done and persevering, like it has to, like I think 10 years from now, whatever it is, like I will look back and be like, I'm so glad that I did that because it led to like something more important.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now with more free time.
Yes.
And not focusing on school. What do you feel like has filled some of that, or has anything been filled?
Yeah, so we bought always making things crazier. In August of 2022,
When you
bought
started
a
school.
house. When I restarted school to do the kind of power year. It was going to be a power year and a half, but I did it in a power year.
Of course.
Because we were done. We were tired. We also bought our first house together. So kind of quicker than we anticipated, but so to make it crazier, we kind of I restarted school and we moved into a house. So now with free time, I think just like getting house stuff done, which I feel like I sound so old. Like I'm just,
No, it's not, because I am, number one, I built a couch today with Kelsey. Like I definitely didn't do that by myself.
Yes.
But also it's what you just said about like, you didn't get to put your dorm room together. You feel like you missed out on that. So this is your place of like, okay, now it's really mine and I can do with it like my fun things that I love to do with design in my own space.
Yes. I think people have this expectation that like my house and style like is something so specific because of like the industry that I'm in, and I'm like, honestly, like I give so much energy and like creative time to work stuff and just like even just thoughts about all of those initiatives that like when I come home, like there is not enough time in the day for my own house, and then school sucked anything extra away that I could have possibly done. So definitely have been working on some house projects, which is really exciting. And I think that's been like kind of the most fulfilling thing is like on a Sunday, just like getting to go to Trader Joe's for 2.5 hours if I want, and just like bop it, classic girl bop around on like a weekend. Like a lot of that was kind of taken, and then I would start Monday being like, I just wish I had gotten to go to like TJ Maxx. just like something so silly. Even as just like I love grocery shopping and just like taking your time grocery shopping.
I love that for you. Yeah.
Resetting. So I think there's just like simple life things that I had to rush.
Yeah.
And now I don't have to rush. And like if on a Monday night I want to like drink wine and make pizzas and just be up later than I normally am, like I can do that, and I don't have to worry about like assignments and this other whole chapter going on. So it's been really, really nice. It's finally sunk in. It took a while. I feel like I was like popping awake at 2 a.m. Like, did I do that random assignment that I was supposed to do for the history of Texas? So yeah, I think just have the extra time to just do things that like you kind of do end up taking like for granted. Like when you have all of that time, like you forget that is, and I don't have kids, like so there's like lots of, I think, time that I do have that could be prioritized better. But I'm just really excited to like kind of finish our home that we're building together.
Yes, and I'm also trying to find elements of you where I help you force rest, because I'm bad at that too. But we're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Okay, so final question to wrap it all up. What's the one word you would choose to describe the current chapter of your story?
I think that there's one that just like when you're just comfortable with like where you're at with your thoughts, and you're like, even if this doesn't sound typical, like this is just, I think, career mode.
Yeah.
I think that be like career mode is, I guess that's 2 words.
No, it counts. We'll hyphenate it.
It's hyphenated. I think career mode is something that like I don't have kids yet. I really love seeing like creating things and like making a difference, and like I really love growing as like a manager and like discovery of the industry and just learning more. So I think right now, currently in what is it? It's October 15th, 2023. Like a word that I think a lot of people would, I'm curious what the word you would use to describe me, but like because you're with me like basically every day, but I think just like career focused, career driven, career mode. It's something about just like the career in the industry and learning to be like the best version of myself I can be for myself, and like managing a team, I think has it kind of shifts your perspective very quickly of like your Monday's not just like you, yourself, and I, you know.
Yes.
And that has changed, I think, the way I like approach everything.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm just so thankful for you for being on this episode, for all of the encouragement you've given me to do this and start this, but also just you as a friend, because we are there in the hard stuff, that's for sure, but also in the funny and a constant text thread and like all of the above. We have like 7 levels of communication that's happening at all times, and being away from each other even for a day, we're like, oh, so much to say. So
now this podcast has added another level of communication.
Exactly.
So
oh
I'm
my gosh, you're right. We've leveled up to a whole nother realm.
No, I thank you so much for having me on. I think I've never done anything like this before, and like even holding this microphone right now, I'm like, I feel important.
Oh, we're living our Lizzie McGuire dreams.
It feels so exciting. It's really cool when you get to like meet someone later in life, like meet a friend later in life. You didn't even know that you were going to be like friends.
Yeah.
You become friends. You get so just like intertwined in each other's like circles and lives. And like, I think you've shown me like just like what being like a very like true real friend is, and kind of that reward of like when you put this like effort and like love into like a relationship, like you get that back, and like it's just so special. And I think it gets harder as you get older.
I agree. I think that's something I struggled with, honestly, friends through different stages of life. And one of the phrases my mom used to say all the time is like, you have to be a friend to have a friend. And that was something that challenged me a lot. And I started really praying for it and meeting people that I watched them be friends to people, and it challenged me to be that much better. And I think our track record, I think a lot of people, especially as adults, it's hard to make new friends. You start to go into, just transitional seasons of people like moving or starting families or getting married or whatever. There's just so many things that happen in that like 20 to 35 range, I would say, probably. And I mean, some of that still happens afterwards too, of course, but making friends as adults is a challenge. And I think when you find your people, regardless of where that is, and the fact that ours is through work, but then investing in a different level in a different way through just it, and it was slow, I would say. Like it's not like week 2 into me being at Industry West, we were like, we're again, always comes back to happy hour, but like we're going to happy hour or we're like hanging out at each other's houses for dinner or whatever. But it's in that you learn people's character really quickly, and the more that you showed up for me, the more it made me want to show up for you. And I feel like that is reciprocal.
Yeah, 100%. I know. I wish I could like remember the moment that we hung out for the first time. Yeah. Like I just, maybe you remember. I do not. I'm just like, I feel like it was this very just like organic thing that happened, and getting to watch you like launch this pod. And I mean, I still fully expect the same amount of like personal pod audio messages.
That will never end. Too much to say, always.
Worried when you launched this that I was gonna get gypped, but like
no, I think it's like the quality, because I have like better microphones and stuff.
Yes. No, it's so inspiring and beautiful, and like not to get mushy, just like getting to watch someone, and like I know it can be pushy sometimes, but I think in like
I need that.
In knowing that like it's coming from like a place of love, and like your mom would be so ridiculously proud of you. Like I know she is, and like there's just so many people like in your life that are gonna get to like listen to this and benefit from it, and I just feel like it's gonna go further than like anyone anticipates, because you are so good at listening and like
Thank you.
hearing and getting to share everyone's stories. So
I'm excited.
that was a
I'm
full
excited.
circle.
Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, if people want to find you, follow you on Instagram, support you, do whatever, do you want to leave your Instagram handle or like where to check out your amazing work that you do with Instruest?
Yeah, I feel like, I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, she is a LinkedIn girly.
I love LinkedIn. I'll definitely, it's Brooke FULLY on LinkedIn. And I definitely like to share everything important on there when it comes to work stuff. And yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. We're going to go drink some Prosecco, finish it, that it's been sitting here.
Yes.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Isn't she just the best? Thank you for your patience with the audio on this episode, but even funky echoes can't take away from the joy and wisdom that Brooke brings. This is the first of many episodes she will be a part of on this show because we are constantly needing to debrief new subjects. I cannot express how proud I am of Brooke. Proud of the way she perseveres and works harder than anyone I know, but also just because she is so kind and offers so much joy and grace to everyone that she's around. I am so thankful for her, and I would love if you would follow her journey through LinkedIn and tell her thank you. Thank you for sharing her story and for being a part of the show and just for the friend that she is to many. Please make sure to follow Share Your Story with Ellie and me at the Ellie B on Instagram. If you would also rate, review, and share the show with other friends, it would mean the world to me. Brooke's story is definitely one that should be shared. And please make sure you tune in on Thursday for a brand new episode continuing Besties Week with my best friend and roommate of almost 6 years, yes, 6 years, Kelsey. I cannot wait to talk to you on Thursday.